Good. Okay, welcome along everyone, councillors and the senior leadership team to this afternoon's RAC meeting, and also to Ellen from the news and anyone who's streaming in with us today. Welcome along to the last Risk and Audit Committee meeting of 2023. So we'll get this underway with any apologies, please.
I'll put in one for Ned.
For Ned Tarfree. Any others? Okay, are you moving that way, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I could move.
Okay, seconder, Deputy Mayor Basher, all in favour? Aye, any against? No, carried unanimously, thank you. Members' interests of the agenda items here today. If any councillors got any members' interest to disclose? No, nothing to disclose. I'll move that way. Seconder, Councillor Fallett, all in favour? Aye, any against? Carried unanimously, thank you. Well, apologies, Councillor Webb. I should have also welcomed you live streaming in today. Thank you. Now moving on to the confirmation of the minutes. So these are the minutes of the 15th of November. I'm taking those as read. Are there any amendments to those minutes? No amendments. Would somebody please move that they are a true and correct record of the meeting of the 15th of November? Moved Councillor Weston, seconded Councillor Howard. All in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously. Councillor Sampson, are you for the minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I was absent anyway.
You abstaining?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move to the action point list, page 21. This is agenda item number 4. Okay, let's move through these one by one. Okay, we've got action number 218, which is to do with the pump stations, and the update is there. It's going to remain on the action point list until the strategic risk register is completed March 2024. Any comments? Okay, 227, also to do with the strategic risk register. That will be updated, and we've got an update in today's agenda. Thank you, Douglas. 228. Okay, this is also to do with the strategic risk register, and this will be addressed in March 2024. Just checking that date, Douglas, that's in relation to receiving some external assistance to review the risk register with councillors.
And then try to talk about that in more detail when we get to that report.
Okay, thank you. And 229 information management project. You've given us some notes here.
Madam Chair, so there's a question about funding and budgets. So reported on this back in those two meetings in February and March this year. So I just repeated that information more so that we have that available to us. So it does go over the page there.
Okay.
So it is repeating something, but I felt it was just appropriate to bring it through.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on that item? Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just the last comment on 229. July 23 to June 31. Is 31 correct? That's in line with the LTP.
LTP 2131, yes.
To forecast 245, budget 100,000. Doesn't seem right to me for a 10-year period. We had about 200 a year put aside for that. And
Yeah.
long-term plan.
Yes, we've got two years, quite a bit of budget, and then sort of a fixed fee of about 20 or 25,000 thereabouts over those years. But if I email you the detail for you, is that set in the long-term plan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, any further comments, councillors? Mayor Basher.
Comment on the end, it should say 2024 instead of 2023.
No, because that was
Is that the original comment?
Yeah, it was produced in March 2023, getting up to the 23 year. So,
Okay,
yeah, just a timing issue with that contract.
Okay, any other comments? No, thank you for that feedback, Douglas. So the resolution is resolved that the Risk and Audit Committee received the action point report for information. We have someone move that way. Councillor Grafton, seconded. Councillor O'Keefe, all in favour? Any against? Carried unanimously, thank you. Now we're moving on to the RAC Workplan Report. And you'll be very familiar with this. You'll see there's an addition this month which just isolates out the December reports for us. It's very helpful. Moving on to the actual bigger spreadsheet, which is just gives you the overall year. So that's really just for information. Any discussion? I'll put the resolution that the Risk and Audit Committee received the Risk and Audit Workplan for information. Favour mover, Councillor Ballot, seconder, Councillor Grafton, all in favour. Thank you. Any against? Councillor Reed, yep, so recorded. Carried. So I'm moving on now to agenda item number 6. This is the letter of expectation that goes every year to our CCO, Buller Holdings Limited, sets out what we expect to see as council over the 2024-25 year. I have a couple of minor amendments, but I'll go to you first, Douglas, just to if you've got anything to add.
Look, I've got nothing to add. I think it's quite a well thought out letter of expectation that we've used as a standard format for a number of years. So commend the council for that detail in the past, which we carried through it.
Okay, I've got just a couple of quite minor markups. I'll just run you through them, but I am going to provide them to Douglas and Gina for that if the letter of expectation is approved, and they don't change any of the intent whatsoever. But there is a reference in the letter of expectation, page 28, which refers to the annual plan when it should actually be for this particular year, the long-term plan. There's a change to the last paragraph which refers to 2023, which should be 2024, which is talking about looking forward to working with the directors in the 2024 year. So that's an amendment. Somehow there's been a little bit of a hiccup, but I think this has come over from last year, that it's got Mayor Klein's name on the bottom of it and my signature, which is a little bit interesting. But
I'm finding that really confusing.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, but that's okay. We can get past that. So I'm proposing that it's one or the other of us. So it's either myself as the chairperson of Risk and Audit or the Mayor. So I'm probably proposing that it's myself as the chair. And once again, just anything that refers to the annual plan should be long-term plan throughout the document. And then there's just another minor adjustment. It's something that I've called step G, and I've just got to find it. It should say will instead of something else. I'll mark it up anyway. It was very minor, so I don't know, changes none of the intent. So they were my amendments to it. The rest of it, I think, clearly sets out what council is required, is looking for from our CCO. Are there any other comments? Councillor Sampson.
I just thought the 1.3 or greater was probably a little bit harsh, like this year. You know, they endeavour to give as much as they can, but because of the way things have gone this year, we've got a lesser amount. So putting in there, you know, or greater is probably being a little bit hard if we don't want them to strip the company either.
Yeah, I think my only comment on that would be that there are times when Buller Holdings does make a greater profit and they do look to distribute additional funds. So I guess we wouldn't, probably you wouldn't want to cap it at the 1.3 if there was an opportunity to get more from as a distribution, but that would be my only thought. But I do hear what you're saying.
I would agree with you because, you know, given that there was a shortfall this year, If they did perform better next year, it was a great way of them giving back as well, recouping the shortfall.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments on this? Councillor Reedy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Page 29,
Yes.
the last paragraph. Last paragraph, last sentence. Working with the Chair, Finance, Risk and Audit, should just be Risk and Audit.
Correct. It should.
Finance, Risk and Audit. And second point is 1A2, build and maintain a relationship of mutual respect and trust with the board. That I'm finding very difficult to live with, given comments have been made during the year regarding we're a major shareholder in this organisation. We own it. It's supposed to have, it's called saying here that we have a mutual relationship, and yet we've been it's in the press that we're saying that the CCO has capacity constraints and all that sort of stuff. That for me is a business decision, not a decision for governance. Yet we're saying here that we want to build this relationship, and yet we go out and say, make comments, negative comments about a CCO that is fully owned by the community, in effect. Now I hear what has been said about the 1.3 million, okay, but you don't go out when you're with your own company, whether you're a 100% shareholder in a commercial company or a CCO in this instance, you don't go out and say that we've got capacity constraints to justify why we're bringing in external contractors and consultants to undertake the work. So all I'm saying is that that 1A2 I can't live with, because we're supposed to do that, yet it's been breached.
Okay, personally I'm struggling to compile that in my mind about exactly what you're saying here. I'm not sure I've seen any of that, but from my point of view as the Chair of Risk and Audit, we're always trying to build a relationship, and I'm sure that's exactly what the senior leadership team are aiming for as well with Fuller Holdings and their subsidiaries. So I'd say that's your opinion, Councillor Reedy. I guess I'll put it out there to other councillors.
I just recall a comment when we were presented from the company about how they respected the trust that had been built up over years. So they talked positively to us when they were presenting to us.
Okay, any other comments? All right, Councillor Fallon.
I think at a governance level there has been work done to the relationship this year, and especially with interviewing renewing the board member. I think that's a good step towards building the relationship.
That's a good point, and that was truly a mark of respect, because they requested that we do that, and we listened. We as a committee listened, and as council, and did go down that path. So I hear what you're saying, Councillor Reedy, but I don't see any other support for that view. So I'm proposing that statement gets left in there. So on that, unless there's any other comment, I'm going to put the motion subject to those changes that we've highlighted, that the Risk and Audit Committee endorse the letter of expectation to be sent to Fuller Holdings Limited. Could I have someone move that way? Move Councillor Fallon, seconded Deputy Mayor Basher. All in favour? Aye. Any against? No? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to agenda item number 7, and this is a review of the financial delegations policy. Now, you will recall, councillors, that this has previously come to the table in October, and there were a number of matters that we asked the senior leadership team to, primarily Douglas, to have a look through, and there was to be some feedback. So I have had some feedback come through from Councillor Reedy. Thank you for that. And Douglas has supplied some answers to some minor amendments. But what I'm going to do now, I'm quite conscious of time in today's meeting, because I know that councillors have another meeting after this one. So I'm just going to see how this particular agenda item goes, because you will all know that this policy, it would just be a recommendation coming from Risk and Audit through to full council. So I don't want to protract it for too long because we have quite a bit to go through, but I still want to give it the time that it deserves. So I'm going to put it out there for discussion and just see where that goes, and we'll see if we can wrap it up today. If not, I'll make a decision on where to from here. So on that note, I'm going to pass to you first, Douglas, to see if there's anything you wish to add.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a couple of points that Council already has made, which I think definitely we need to make changes on. So I'll just talk in general terms, if you're happy. So just need to make sure when we talk about annual plan, we talk about annual plan / long-term plans. So we've got a couple of references here where we've got perhaps one or the other. So that certainly makes sense. There's a reference in the rating policies to SEC, which is SCC, so a little bit sloppy from my part. SEC should say section, but we should highlight that these are the sections of the Local Government Rating Act. So we need to make reference to that act there. So that's just a good point and tidies that particular issue up. There's a reference to bereavement leave or time and lieu, one of those ones where we've just updated a policy, sharing with Council. I've made a note to myself, which needs to be tidied up, so thanks for picking up on that. And we do use a reference to fire brigade, and it should be fire service or perhaps fire and emergency might be a better term, but that's a good one too, just to tidy up. The rest of the matters I'm sure Councillor Reedy will talk to. And just as a general comment, we have different levels under the finance delegation, different levels under the HR delegations. So we do have one staff member we call 3+ in financial. So that's the infrastructure services delivery manager, Eric. So he does need a higher delegation than a lot of the other staff who are seen as level 3s. That's the reason that role sits out. It just gives us a bit more flexibility in the organisation. But when you move across to HR, and there's a good comparison there made by Councillor Reedy. So under HR, the HR advisor has a lot more delegations under that particular policy. If you're under financial delegation, they only have a minimal amount of financial delegation because their role doesn't need them to be spending a lot of funding, so they have very low. So that looks odd that there are 3+ under HR and then only I think a 3 or even a 4 under financial. But the reason is priority under the HR delegations, and then Eric, the board's role has some priorities under the finance delegation, which is why you get that sort of what looks like a mismatch. But it's deliberately done that way to give those two roles the flexibility they need in their specific areas of interest. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. I just appreciate that explanation. So now I'm going to put it out for discussion and see anyone that has any comments. No? Okay, so based on the comments that Douglas has made for the changes, then I'm going to put the resolution resolved that the Risk and Audit Committee recommend the revised financial delegation policy, subject to the changes that you've highlighted, be adopted by Council. So I think that's, I might just have to reword that because it has to actually go through to Council. Is that a bit of a suggestion?
I like what I've written. That's right.
Well, we'll take it as it's written. Could someone move that way? Councillor Naylon seconded. Councillor Weston, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Thank you, Councillor Reedy. So the resolution's carried. Thank you. So I'm going to move now on to the Health and Safety Quarterly Report. Thank you. So this report is intended to provide the committee with insight into initiatives and activities included in the process as part of the organisational commitments, and written by Linda, but she's not here, so CEO Gibbling is going to speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll take this report as read. This is our quarterly update. Just to note that we regularly track the number of incidents and misses, and through the Health and Safety Committee, but also through our operational teams, are tracking to ensure that the mitigations that we have in place across our workforce are effective and contribute to a safe work environment both for ourselves and for our community. A couple of highlights over the last period is we have undertaken some representative training for our health and safety reps, which is one of the requirements under the Act, and we've got a little bit more training to do next year. So we're in a bit of a just ensuring that all of our right people have got the training. We've noted the number of incidents here, and we've just got a summary of those, and so I'm happy to take any questions on that. Probably the only other point I'd like to make is that as an organisation, we are continually reviewing how we comply against the Health and Safety Workplace Act, and we do have a team looking at what improvements do we need to make in the new year, and what shifts around leadership, staff engagement, communication and reporting do we need to continue to build upon as an organisation. And so I expect to be able to bring you more detail about that last point in the report in the next quarterly report. Thank you.
Thank you, very much appreciated. Any comments on, okay, Councillor Weston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Page 46, what's a patriot? And one is maybe and one's got called a patriot.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's probably a patron. We don't necessarily identify with the patriots.
We're making Buller great again.
He's a real trooper coming to the
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Any other comments on this report? Can you please pass our thanks on to the team with regard to health and safety and some really good initiatives underway there. So I'm going to put the resolution resolved that the Risk and Audit Committee receive the health and safety report for information. Move Councillor O'Keefe. Seconded Councillor Fallett. All in favour? Any against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I'm going to move on now to agenda item number 9, and this is the Strategic Risk Register update. And you'll be aware that this comes to us on a quarterly basis, and as we've already established in the action plan, that we'll be seeking a full review of the risk register with some external assistance come March. And Douglas has provided quite a lot of information in this particular report. I'll turn it over to you, Douglas, for any further comment.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So certainly on pages 55, 56, I think it's 5 and 56, we've captured a couple of additional things, particularly around IT, that have arisen in the last couple of months that we just thought were useful. We also picked up that lifting of pump station and just pulled it in to this report as well as populate the changes that are in the report. I met with Phil Rossiter this morning, and we started to map out a program of works, particularly of interest were one, the workshop processes were one to take with council staff, and also the process to follow with elected members to bring through a revised strategic risk register. And the other thing too, which I'd like you to all have a wee think about over the next wee while, I don't need ideas today, but the register we hold is quite large and wide, and it's a bit unwieldy to sort of update an agenda like this. But this type of report, although it's really helpful with its read outline on different changes and that sort of thing, it's not necessarily bringing our focus onto all the risks at, say, a regular time. So we've got to try and find a middle ground here about our reporting. So one of the things I'd like us to think about, as I say, is if we go through this process over the next few months, is think about the type of reporting that's important to you in this space. So we just find a middle ground. So I said to Phil, we've got some relevant stuff here in the organisation. I think it's certainly much more focused at governance and management level, but we could inadvertently, by only reporting on these key things, miss something which actually we'd rather put more focus on. So we just got to find a middle ground, because we don't want to swamp you with information, but we've got to make sure we get the right level of information too. And that's just one of the constant challenges. So in simple terms, just talking to Phil, we'll definitely be kicking off some work in March. We've just got to work around your obligations, commitments to things like long-term plan and other things. So probably we have some sort of maybe workshop yourselves April, and then Whether we'll get this finished in April, I think it's a wee bit of a moot point now. Just need to look at the workload, but try and get this a new risk register in place around that sort of June, July period, so that we're updated and freshened, and then we're we've got our profile there. And final comment I'd make is, again, anything else, any risks you see or think concern you, that type of thing, just email them through to the Steve, Gibbon or myself, and then we'll get them captured. Because it's the full team looking at risks and identifying them, a little bit like those IT issues we've brought to you. Particularly the one about SCADA was a really good one, because it's that redundancy thing there, which was good for the staff to identify and put through to us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Douglas, for those explanations and additions to the risk register. Councillor Howard.
Just on recommendation 2, number 1, it's just a matter raised by a local resident in our community engagement, was they were interested in the indirect impacts of the seawall that are protecting the airway. So just whether it can be included as part of the monitoring, whether at that stage there was any indirect effects on the rest of the beach, or I think they brought it out from a previous meeting ages ago, which says by building that wall there would be erosion in other parts of Carter's Beach, and I'm not sure where that arose or there's anything to it. But maybe just part of it is just as it's being monitored, whether there was any noticeable effects on other areas of the beach outside the seawall.
Madam Chair, we can certainly do that. I mean, the reason we do the monitoring and do that checking is to, obviously, part of our consent conditions anyway, which is one thing. But secondly, I imagine regional council will be looking a little bit wider field to make sure nobody else is being impacted by that work. But I'll have a talk to Chris Triggers, the airport manager, and if we see anything in there that is perhaps we need to be concerned, we'll log it. But I'll advise you what he wants to say. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not sure. I think Chris and I, we're looking at the CEO, and he's not looking, we're not seeing anything that's concerned.
Okay. Samir?
We just have to be careful on ones like that, because we're effectively creating a new consenting system. I mean, it's got a resource consent that identified affected parties and things that needed to be monitored. I think we need to be a bit cautious about introducing new ones that we're going to monitor and that's not necessarily within our jurisdiction.
I guess it's really around the commentary around what, the effects and so on, perhaps. I guess it's something that can be looked at in full once the risk register comes out, and just that wording around mitigation effects and so on.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think the thing would be, our job would be, if we hear anything that we might be creating, we keep you quickly informed. We don't go looking for problems because we're not experts in that area either. So.
Okay, so just taking a slight step back to when you were talking about next year, Douglas, and being very aware around risk in this committee, are our councillors feeling comfortable about that process going forward into 2024? Because we've talked about it for a while about the review of the risk register. Now you're saying you're in talks with Phil, which is great. Now we're sort of looking like it's March, April, with a finalised one in June, and also understanding that it is a big year with the long-term plan and so on. But I guess what I'm asking this committee is that time frame, are you all comfortable with it? Bearing in mind that any risks that you identify will be brought to the attention of councillors, and any, as you've said, any councillors can bring to senior leadership team management.
What I can do to help out there is, when Phil was going to add something to me potentially later this week, when I'll circulate just confirming that time frame, but I'll also circulate the register, which is a big spreadsheet, so you can have as you're finding a bit of idle time between Christmas and New Year, you can have a wander through that. And then that brings them up to speed of what we're going to be reviewing anyway. So
I think that will be extremely helpful, and I think those that were around the table back when the risk register was first reviewed with the assistance of Phil Rossiter back then, I think you all remember that it was an extremely thorough process. So I think it's going to be well going down that path. Councillor Weston.
Just a statement on page 56 about pump stations. The risk therefore remains that the balance of the pump stations, and it's got BOT listed as susceptible. I mean, what does that whole sentence mean?
No, yeah, it shouldn't be box, it should be not, shouldn't it? Sorry.
Not listed, yeah.
Yeah, N and B are beside each other on the keyboard, that's money defence.
Thanks, the end of the.
Thanks, Councillor Reid.
Okay, any other Councillor Reid?
If you may, two comments, please.
Yes.
If I may.
Yep.
Regarding being relaxed about the risk register, no, I'm not. It's not time frame, but it is what it is. I accept that. But this has been, as I've mentioned previously, and RAC stands for risk, and we're not looking at it. So I'm not comfortable with the time frame, and I'm not going to hold up this agenda item because of that. Second point, very minor. Page 53, just before item 7, progress update June 23. Very minor, but we know we're going to get an update because June 23 since passed. I'll probably look at March 24, but just looks sloppy, that's all.
Yeah, fair enough. And,
Fix your sloppiness.
yeah, I'll fix my sloppiness, yeah, be cool.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your comments around the risk register. I think we are addressing risk, and probably we are all a little bit not wary, but watching that time frame very closely. And it has been pushed out, and I'll acknowledge that, but also accept watching what all the other requirements that this council has had and all their time pressures. I think that it is unfortunately one of the things that have been pushed out, but don't think it ever means that we've lost sight of attending to the monitoring of risk in our organisation. So I'm going to put the motion that the Risk and Audit Committee note the updates received for the risk register as at December 2023. Could I have someone move that way? Councillor Grafton, seconded Deputy Mayor Basher. Any further comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to say thank you to Douglas and Steve for, you mentioned before about bringing to our attention about this. So I'm qualifying what I said before, but the fact that, as we can see already here, it's been identified, it's been brought to our attention. I just want to say thank you to Douglas and the team for doing that.
Thank you for that, Councillor Reedy. That'll be so recorded in the minutes. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's appreciated, but just want to highlight that why this is working is because staff at the right level are bringing information forward. That's when you know the systems are working. So.
Okay, thank you. So I've got a mover and a seconder. All in favour? Right, any against? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we're up to agenda item number 10, and this is the monthly financial report as at the 31st of October. So this report, as you'll realise, is split into 3 areas. We've got the business as usual, grants, and the flood event update. So I'm taking this report as read, and I'm going to hand to you, Douglas, for anything further you might wish to add, or
Thank you, but I'm nothing further from me, Jan. This is
I'll just stand to make sure you can hear. I think there's a good news story to keep an eye out for in this report. It's mentioned just at the first page where the regulatory services building activity is going pretty well. You'll see in the table of information that's provided later, there's an assumption that the revenue is going to be a couple of $100K above what was predicted. But we're also showing a prediction for expense around that at this point in time, just because we're not quite sure it's going to land, but we think it'll actually be better. So we're going to keep an eye on that and update you in the years of progress. There is some good news, so it's a good news story there.
thank you very much for that update. Any comments or discussion on this, Councillor Reedy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've just previously mentioned about the full year. I expect to be able to, at the moment we're showing basically what's recorded on the annual plan for the year is not as per the annual plan that's published. So anybody reading the annual plan published versus the annual plan that's on here, it's incorrect. Now, it might be considered trivial, but I'd expect a reader in the community to be able to pick up both documents and see the same numbers.
Okay, you got any comment? This is around OPEX and CAPEX, I believe. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, Lynn.
I could explain that the performance report that's put here is just for the council operations as a management report. There's a reconciliation that shows what the published annual plan shows and why the 50% share of the airport and so forth adjustments are made. And that's technical detail we don't include in this report. But if you'd like, I can provide that via through the chair, through the moment each time.
Yeah. If you like, Councillor Reedy, I appreciate what you're saying with regard to the public. I don't think we've ever had anyone request that information, but if you'd like to see that reconciliation.
I like to see the reconciliation. Thank you. That's okay.
You're all right. Okay. Any further discussion on this particular report? Nothing further. So the resolution is that the Risk and Audit Committee receive the operational performance report to the 31st of October for information. I have a mover for that, please. Moved Councillor Grafton, seconded Councillor Weston. All in favour? Aye. Any against?
Abstain, please.
Abstaining. Councillor Reedy. Motion carried. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to agenda item number 11. And this is the debt recovery report as at the 31st of October. So this monitors both rates and sundry debtors as at the 31st of October and provides information on that process and how we're looking at that point in time. I'm taking it as read, but anything further to add, either Douglas or Lynn? Nothing further to add? I'll put it out to quick questions from councillors. Councillor Reedy.
Two if I may, please.
Yes.
Page 64.
Yes.
Last sentence at the top of the page. We've got total arrears for rates decreased by 75. And then we've got sundry debtors decreased to 75. I can find 75 for the rates, but not for the sundry debtors.
Yes, and thank you for posing that question in advance too. Do we have an answer for that?
We've overlooked that link between the two. So
oh, okay.
we apologise for that. We'll look into that, give you an answer as soon as we can.
Every part of the member chair for that one.
We'll seek it out.
Yeah, we'll find out because it's a good question to ask. Next one.
Is for me, and that is the government agency, which has been outstanding for a little while by the looks of it. And apparently there's no risk to it, but if there's no risk, why isn't it paid? Now, we already know that NEMA have rejected some claims that were made. So what is this? And it's been recorded as a significant amount. What is it? Why hasn't it been paid? And when will it get paid? And given this, maybe this, if I may please, Madam Chair, given the sensitivity that may surround this, maybe I'm not looking at going beyond the public assistance, but maybe you need to, perhaps we could consider that if it is confidential.
Yeah. Okay, so to start, I'll find out if we do know the answer and whether it's appropriate to discuss it here. It is, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The outstanding amount that is showing in the graph is a amount from Ministry for Building and Innovation, and it's regarding temporary accommodation. So it's the final tidy up of we're awaiting the claim. They have got some queries and it goes backwards and forwards just like other claims. So we are expecting no concern with payment usually. We've not had communications with them as closely as the last week and this week as well to follow up on that amount. But this actually should indicate something that's really important for us to be coming down the pipeline at us for a debt recovery for us and also payments. So there's a piece of legislation enacted that says any organisation that actually puts through more than 30 million per annum in the new year has to start reporting on how long you take to pay your bills and how long it takes you to receive the invoices. And so we've got some more work to do as a finance team, just another bit of regulation and a bit more work to actually report on that so we can actually show that. So as that comes into place and as we get work with our software providers and the team to get that, we'll actually have more detail. And it may be that those sorts of details actually do show. But we did have a comment with some work we did with some other councils last week where there was kind of an understanding that central government can be one of the slowest payers. And this is an approach that has been made to make them better. So I do hope that we see some improvement and a bit more information. So I thought they might give you a bit more than just what the other question was asked, but might give you some context.
Yeah, I really appreciate that full explanation. So that sounds extremely promising going forward. Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just have detail on that through the Chair on the you call it legislation or accounting standards for that in excess of 30 million? You mentioned legislation. I'm not aware of it myself. Can we just have a not urgent, please?
Okay, thank you. If you can provide that through, that would be very much appreciated. Okay, any other questions on this particular report?
Just notice that there's well over 500,000 rates arrears from previous years. That's a significant amount of rates, and another 250,000 from this year. So I guess is that a reflection of poor practice or ability to pay? Because I mean we're talking about setting rates for the next year. And I guess we need to balance that off with people's ability to pay. We're already at the moment, we've got $850,000 in rent arrears. It is quite frightening to think that we've got to raise rates to get more revenue, but at the same time we're probably going to get more in arrears too. Quite a tricky balance. I'm not sure there's an answer to it, but it is quite frightening to think that obviously ability to pay is not there for a significant proportion of our rate.
Totally acknowledge that, and that is always the question that councils have to ask themselves each year, isn't it, around affordability, and it's never easy, and it's not getting any easier from what I can gather from not only this council but councils all around New Zealand, and always an extremely tricky balancing act. I'm not sure it ever balances but out. But is there any comment you want to make around rates arrears, Lynn?
Thank you for the opportunity to comment there, and I think that you're correct, Councillor, that that's a real concern that as we've spoken of in these latest workshops around long-term plan and rate setting. It's important to remember, I think, that rates for the payers are a bit of a conveyor belt. As they start to pay and drop off the end, there's more coming in together. I think we've heard that sort of saying amongst council, that's how it looks. And one thing that probably gives a little bit of comfort and a bit of a story, which is really good, is the snapshot picture of the graph on the bottom of page 68. It's actually a really long run graph. It goes back to May 2014, and it actually sort of shows the red areas, the tricky rates, and that gives us a sense of where we're tracking. So if we were going north all the time, I'd be quite worried. And it shows the peaks and troughs there. So I think what we're seeing there is the work, we've got one really dedicated rates collection team who's working really closely with our community, and I think you can see the lens there. And every day we have a good news story, even if it's a small one. So just be rest assured we're conscious of the collection aspect and also of how rates are set. We wish it could be better and easier. This is a pretty good picture, I think.
Councillor Grafton.
So I suppose in these rates arrears, and a large amount of it, how much of that is interest accrued on?
That's a good question, isn't it?
That is a good question. I'll have to answer you separately because I don't have that figure to hand. That's okay.
Madam Chair, you mean penalties causing you say interest?
Yeah.
yes, so we can find out there.
Yeah, okay, if you could distribute that, but yes, that would be an interesting one. Any further discussion on this? Thanks to the team for putting this report together. So the motion is, resolution is that the Risk and Audit Committee receive the debt recovery report as at the 31st of October 2023 for information. Moved Mr Mayor, seconded Councillor Grafton, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously, thank you. So now we're going to move on to the investments and borrowings report. Another report as at the 31st of October, one that you've become very familiar with. Thank you to Neil for putting this together, and I'm taking it as read, but any other discussion on this particular one from one or Douglas? Anything to add? Nothing to add, as read. Any comments from councillors? No, thank you. Very clear report, so that's very good to receive. So I'm going to put the resolution that Risk and Audit Committee received the investments and borrowings report at the 31st of October for information. May the mover, please. Councillor Howard, seconded Councillor Sampson, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously, thank you. So now we're going to move on to the NEMA and Better Off Funding Project Status Report, and this comes through from the Projects and Partnership Committee, which does meet in advance of our meeting, and we've also got here, which is very helpful, the minutes of the meetings from October and November. So I'm just going to run through each report and open it up for any discussion. There's a good summary around that. So first of all, we're going to go to the NEMA projects overview, and I welcome Penny Bicknell with us today. Thank you, Penny. This particular project, is there anything you'd like to add to this before I ask councillors if they've got any?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's just one little anomaly that came to our attention today on page 88 in that summary of the claim to NEMA. The on hold column, for some reason when it was PDF'd, the minuses ended up above the number, and so Colin really very helpfully pointed out that it didn't add up. It does add up because the 24,000 is actually a positive number. So when you add that and the others, the minuses, it actually comes to 102. So we will keep an eye out for that one next time we PDF it as to the positives and negatives.
Great.
Thank you, Councillor Reading.
Thank you. That's great. This project appears to be going well. No concerns at this point. Any questions on this one, councillors? Thank you. And so now we're moving on to the Better Off funding projects. And Penny, once again, this is a report from you for the 9 projects. We've got 6 that were approved. So we've got anything further to add in this particular report? It all looks like it's got the green, everything's going well in this one as well. A number of projects to manage. Yeah, yes, true. Any questions on this particular report? Okay, thank you. Very thorough report. Just gotta wait for my. It's getting tired. What's going on? Sorry, I've got a bit of a wearing thing happening here. Then we've got the minutes from the 2 meetings of projects in partnership. Anything from you, Mr. Mayor or Councillor Grafton? Just as read, nothing further to add. Okay, right, so the 2 projects, and I'm going to put the resolution that the Risk and Audit Committee received the reports and minutes from the November meeting. Okay, that's a bit mucky, isn't it? The Risk and Audit Committee received the reports and minutes from the project in partnership. That would be better. I'm moving that way. Seconder for that. Councillor Grafton, all in favour? Right, any against? Carried unanimously, thank you. Right, well, we're just about to move into public excluded. Just before I do that, and because we may have some people online, and we have Alan here, I just want to thank everyone this year for their hard work in the Risk and Audit Committee, the councillors and the senior leadership team, and thanks to Alan and the media for covering our meetings, and to anyone that's been watching online throughout the year or today. It's always appreciated that people show an interest in our community, and so for those that aren't carrying on for the next part of the meeting, I hope you have a wonderful break over the Christmas period and a safe and healthy 2024, and look forward to seeing you in the new year. Now we'll move the motion to move into public excluded. So there's two items there. I'm going to put the resolution that the public be excluded from the following parts of the meeting as listed. Could someone move that way? Deputy Mayor Basher, seconded Councillor Fowler, all in favour? Aye, any against? Carried. Okay, so I'll close that part of the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.